Let's get some analysis now on this development. Greg Fealy, a scholar of Indonesian politics at ANU. Greg, you look at this today, it's inexplicable really from our perspective to see this individual walking free from prison, less than half of his term served. But there's only so much an Australian government can do. This is the Indonesian judicial system, isn't it?
It is, Kieran, and in a way it's not surprising because from the point of view of the Indonesian counter-terrorism police, they are desperate to find people who can help them in their struggle to de-radicalise other jihadists, and they are convinced that Umar Patek, despite the heinous crime that he was involved in the Bali bombing in 2002, they believe that he is someone who can be very useful to them in that task. There are not many jihadists of his, shall we say, preeminence, of his high profile, who have agreed to do what he's currently doing for the Indonesian police. So I suppose their calculation is it's more important to have someone like him helping to prevent future attacks rather than to continue to punish him for previous attacks. Now, I can understand if you're a family member of one of the victims of that bombing, your anguish would be very intense at the moment. But the Indonesians have had this calculation and they've applied this fairly consistently going back 20 years now.
I guess as well, though, the comparison is made when you look at the penalties for drugs and so on, people getting shot, and then this person who killed 200 people walks free. It's hard to get your head around. But when you look at that rehabilitation that the Indonesian police say this person has undertaken, will there be surveillance, sufficient surveillance on him to ensure that he's not taking them for a ride, basically?
Yeah, so I think someone of his importance to previous jihadist operations, he would most certainly be under very intense scrutiny from the police. They feel that they have a trump card with him, and that is that his Filipina wife, to whom he is very devoted, is someone that they have, I think, given Indonesian citizenship to, and they believe that she is one reason why he will stay out of trouble and be very cooperative in the future. I should also point out, you probably carried the news yesterday about the terrorist bombing in Bandung, the capital of West Java, and the person who undertook that bombing was a released terrorist detainee who refused to do the rehabilitation program. And so now he's struck again, and it was a suicide bombing, so he's lost his own life. For the Indonesian police, that's the kind of grim reality for them. It's a difficult process getting terrorists to disengage, even more so to get them to fully de-radicalise. And someone like Umar Patek, relatively, looks to be a success case for them, even though it's a very bitter pill for Australians to see him released. Indeed,
it is. Now, Greg Fealy, I've got to ask you as well about that proposed law for a ban on premarital sex in Indonesia. Where has this emerged from? Is it a growing sense of Islamic influence over policy making? Talk us through it from your perspective.
So it's a little bit of that you mentioned, or indeed that is one element in it, this growing Islamic conservatism, more broadly social and religious conservatism in Indonesia on moral issues. Disapproval of homosexuality, for example, disapproval of people having sexual relations outside marriage in whatever form. So in a way, this bill is reflecting that, but we also have to acknowledge that this is a bill that the amendment process on this criminal code goes right back to 1963. So this is a very, very long story. And I think one reason why the Parliament passed it actually quite rapidly in the end a couple of days ago was because they felt they just wanted to get this done and off the books. Unfortunately, some of the new provisions in that criminal code will have quite probably a harmful effect on Indonesian tourism, and also perhaps a harmful effect on foreign investment in Indonesia, because companies can also be liable to this criminal code now rather than individuals, which was the case in the past.
Professor Greg Fealy from ANU, I appreciate your insights as always. Thank you.